Good afternoon, everyone. In a minute, if you could just take your seats, we'd like to begin the program and our lunch. It's very good to see you again. You're always welcome at WCC, Washtenaw Community College, and it's great to host our friends here today. And with us today, we have a very, very good friend to all of us. Congressman John Dingell is joining us today. Congressman Dingell, could you please? I really would love to say a word about Congressman Dingell and his wife, Debbie Dingell. They have been incredible supporters of this college as well as this county. We had the Board of Trustees met with Congressman Dingell, a few of us, I think 4, in Washington, D.C. to talk about some legislative issues that are very, very important to the students of this college and this community. So I really thank him on part of the college for all that he does. And Debbie works very hard behind the scenes, and all of the women in this room know behind every great man. You know, I have to finish that, do I? Anyway, after lunch, we have a very interesting speaker and someone we're so happy to have with us, Patrick Doyle. And Patrick is going to share some of his thoughts and insights as the president and CEO of Domino's Pizza. Domino's has a big role in the worldwide economy today, and it's so humbling to think that Domino's first store opened only a few miles down the road. Actually, Washtenaw Community College and Domino's got their start about the same time in the mid-'60s. And while Domino's was growing and shaping the retail food industry around the globe, Washtenaw Community College was growing and shaping the lives of people in our community who helped it prosper. At your table, you'll find a document that highlights one of the ways that Washtenaw Community College impacts our community today. It is clear that we have a significant impact on the lives of our students and on our community. Last year, more than 34,000 students passed through our doors. In addition to saving thousands of dollars on tuition, the education they receive enables them to increase their earnings over their lifetime. The average income at the career midpoint for a student with an associate's degree from this college is $49,400. Today, I'm pleased to report on the larger impact Washtenaw Community College has on our community with the release of our economic impact study. As we take a close look at what we brought to the local economy, we uncovered that there were very, very remarkable things. And the document before you will provide that. And perhaps at a later time we'll be able to, not today, but at a later time we'll be able to spend more time with that economic impact study. So while you think about the information contained in that document, and you listen to the words of a highly successful corporate executive, I hope you'll realize that we're all interconnected in our community, and some of us have a great place and run with it, and have a plan to run with it, and others make it possible for that plan to flourish. Thank you so much, and enjoy your lunch.
Can't see. I hope you've enjoyed your lunch so far. Please continue to, of course, finish that great dessert. Good afternoon. My name is Ann Williams. I am chair of the Washtenaw Community College Board of Trustees. Let me also welcome you to Washtenaw Community College and the Washtenaw Economic Club. It is my pleasure to now introduce our keynote speaker. Patrick Doyle oversees all company operations, strategy, and vision in his role as President and CEO of Domino's Pizza. His appointment to lead Domino's Pizza in March 2010 came after nearly 13 years with the company. In September of 2007, he was named President of Domino's USA with responsibility for all of domestic retail operations. Patrick previously had been Executive Vice President of Team USA, overseeing the system of corporate-owned stores since October of 2004. As Executive Vice President of Domino's Pizza International from 1999 to 2004, he was responsible for increasing the company's global presence by almost 1,000 stores. During his time in the International Division, Patrick served as the Interim Executive Vice President of Build the Brand, Domino's Marketing Department, accelerating Domino's domestic same-store sales growth during that time. Patrick's tenure started with Domino's as a Senior Vice President of Marketing. Prior to Domino's, he was Vice President and General Manager for Gerber Products, strengthening its core business as well as launching its Tender Harvest organic line. During his 6 years with Gerber, Patrick also served as Vice President and General Manager of Gerber's Canadian operations. Prior to joining Gerber, he was European General Manager of the Intervascular SA in France and spent 5 years at First Chicago Corporation as Corporate Finance Officer. Patrick earned his MBA from the University of Michigan Booth School of Business after completing his undergraduate degree in economics from the University of Michigan. He is a member of the board of directors of G&K Services, as well as Business Leaders for Michigan. He is often involved in fundraising efforts for local education, arts, and cultural organization. He currently resides in Ann Arbor with his wife, who is here with him today, and his 2 daughters. Please help me welcome Patrick Doyle to the stage.
Good afternoon. Good to see all of you. So I'm going to tell you a little story about a pizza company that, as Rose mentioned earlier, opened just down the road a couple of miles in 1960, and I think has been a part of the educational experience for students here and at Eastern. We're actually in the original delivery area of the original store here, so it's a real great local success story. And so what I'm going to share with you today is really the process that Domino's went through now just a few years back. It was actually right at the time of the transition from Dave Brandon, who was the CEO, to the time that I took over. And so everything I'm going to say is as much about decisions that he made as I made at that time. But it's an interesting story of really a brand kind of reinventing itself. And so I'm kind of happy to have the opportunity to share that with you. So that's the original store down on Cross Street, just over there a little bit. And we had this wonderful idea. Our founder, Tom Monahan, figured out back in the 60s that the quicker you get food to people, and if you bring it to them, the more they will like you and the more they will eat. And it has always been true. You know, it's really what built this brand over time was kind of the convenience of delivery, and worked incredibly well. It was the point of differentiation for Domino's, and really continues to be to this day. We're still known as the pizza delivery company more than anything else, and that was clearly a great point of differentiation built really this great brand. But along the way, we lost something. And it was interesting for students of marketing. Classic marketing says, you know what your point of differentiation is. For us, it was delivery. You focus on that. You talk about that. You spend all of your time and resources on that. And what happened to us over time, we had a couple of years, 2006, 2007, where we didn't have great results. And we realized that, you know what, people also want to make sure that what they're getting, that pizza they're getting delivered quickly, tastes great. And we didn't have that credibility with customers. They didn't give us credit for a great tasting pizza. Now, I'll tell you, all the research told us that the good news was the pizza that we were selling to people was every bit as good as the pizza that any of our national competitors were selling out in the marketplace. That was the good news. The bad news was when you put our brand on that pizza, they actually thought less of it. So we had negative brand equity around the quality of the product. If they just had the pizza, they thought it was just fine. When you put the Domino's name on it, they liked it less from a quality standpoint. That's a problem. That's a problem. So, the lessons here are, first of all, you've got to recognize the brand issues. And, the interesting thing for us was we didn't wake up one day and suddenly discover that we had a brand issue around taste. It's actually something that we had known for a very long time, but we were kind of following this classic idea of marketing, which is focus on your real point of strength and point of differentiation. Once we realized, you know what, we've got to fix this. We've got to take the big hill. We've got to change perceptions of people around the quality of the pizza. Then you figure out, okay, so how do you fix the issues? What do you do to change kind of the reality and the truth of the pizza that we're serving to people? Then very importantly, and I think what's probably gotten the most interest in this whole process was how do you communicate those fixes effectively to your consumers? And then finally, I'll kind of take you through what we view as the lessons learned and things that we're continuing to try to use to drive our business forward. So first of all, recognize the issues with your brand. So there were a lot of studies around this time that came out that told us basically the same thing. This is the third-party research that came out, and the really good news was Brand Keys said in the pizza industry back in 2007 that Domino's was number one amongst pizza customers for loyalty. So that's great, right? No problem. That's the good news. Bad news is while they were saying we had the most loyal customers, our sales were negative in the US. So something was going on. So that's the good news. Here's the bad news. Taste. We were tied with those fine purveyors of fine dining over at Charles E. Cheese, which is, I will tell you, it's a really bad day when you're in the food business. And research that comes out says, customers give you every bit as much credit as they give to Chuck E. Cheese for the taste of your product. That's a bad day. And so if we hadn't already gotten the point, this certainly helped to drive it home for us. And if you went out on the internet and kind of looked at the feedback, this is kind of what you were seeing out there, right? We were seeing out there in social media starting to really grow around this time. You're seeing kind of this consistent negativity and people even spending so much time to put together things like that, right? Another bad day when somebody sends that over to you, but that's the truth of what was out there, right? That's the truth of what people were saying about our brand and about our decision. And so we decided, you know what? It's time. We got to take this hill. We know we've got this issue. We're out there telling people that, we're the fast delivery guys, and, the people who say, that's great, I like the convenience, when we told them we were the fast delivery guys, said, that's great, you haven't told me anything new, I already gave you credit for that. And the people who weren't buying pizza from Domino's said, I knew you're the fast pizza guys. The reason I don't buy you is because I don't think your pizza tastes good, and you've done nothing to address that. So we had to fix the issues. We had to go in and change the actual pizza. So we took 2 years, our terrific culinary folks here at Domino's Farms, as well as our suppliers, who supplied us with all of the ingredients for our pizza, all went to work. Took 2 years to make sure we had it absolutely right. The team was told, folks, you can change anything. Everything is on the table. You can change anything you want. We still want to be efficient in our stores, but otherwise we're open to any change you'll make with the pizza. And 2 years later, they came back with the answer. And the answer was they changed everything. They changed the crust, they changed the sauce, they changed the cheese. We changed everything about the product. And we had something that we knew statistically was dramatically better in the consumer's minds than what we were selling before. So first and most important thing is we had to change the truth, right? If we're going to talk about changing this, we tried before with kind of this product, the pizza that we had, to convince people, no, we're really better than you give us credit for. We had to make a real change. We had to do something that was going to be dramatic, that we could go out and talk to customers about. And so this is what brought us to, I think, what people have viewed as kind of the most interesting part of this story, which is how do you talk about these fixes? So now you've got this new pizza. How do you go out and get people's attention? And we went out and we did a Google search. At the time we were putting this together, so this is fall of, really summer of 2009, when we're putting together the communication strategy around all of this. And somebody Googled new and improved. Right? New and improved, which is kind of one of the most tired marketing cliches out there. And we got, I think at the time, 65 million hits on Google around new and improved. Fact is, it's wallpaper, right? People don't pay any attention when brands say, we've got this new product and it's new and improved. Somebody did that recently. They told me it's now up to about 500 million hits on new and improved. So we wanted something that was dramatically different, that was going to break through. We were very confident that we had a pizza that was dramatically better than what we had been selling previously. And one of, I think, the great lessons from this was great communication uses tension. And what that really means is, unless you're coming out and you're saying something that's very unexpected, people don't pay attention. In advertising, you talk about breakthrough and persuasion. Breakthrough, are people paying attention? And can they correctly tell you what brand it is? And persuasion, are you changing people's minds? And we knew that there was no breakthrough in new and improved. The tension for us was this company that's always been known for being the fast delivery guys. How do they come out and now talk about this new pizza? And what we finally landed on was, let's just be honest. Let's accept the criticism that we've been hearing previously and play it right back to them and tell them we understand that's out here. So here is
Domino's pizza crust to me is like cardboard.
I hear what some folks are saying about our stuff.
The sauce tastes like ketchup, totally void of flavor.
I mean, that hits you right in the heart.
Most companies hide the criticism that they're getting, and we actually face it head on.
This is what's driving us. This is what's making us want to get better.
There comes a time when you know you've got to make a change. You've got to move forward.
What's different about the new pizza?
We improved everything. Sauce, crust, cheese, you name it, it's better.
We got a much better tasting sauce.
We put 40% more herbs in it. It's a bold flavor.
More flavorful cheese.
Cheese, it's cheese.
Well, we're putting a garlic seasoning on the crust now. It's awesome.
To be this honest, you have to have the food to back it up. We're so proud of this pizza, we want everybody to try it. The deal is 2 medium, 2 topping pizzas for $5.99 each. If you don't like it, we'll give you your money back.
All of it. Not half of it, all of it.
So I stand here today as probably the only person in the room who has ever spent tens of millions of dollars to tell consumers just how bad the pizza was that you've been eating, right? And we didn't believe that. We didn't believe it was bad, but our consumers believed it was bad. And at the end of the day, that's all that matters, right? What we think about our pizza doesn't matter. What our customers think about the pizza matters a lot. And so we went out and we said, look, we're listening. And we're going to kind of roll around in it for a while and play it back and let you know, yeah, we heard you. We accept what you think about our pizza as the truth for our brand, because it is the truth. It is how you feel about it. And let me tell you, it broke through to go out and say that. People paid attention to this advertising because we were fessing up. We were accepting what consumers were saying about our brand. So Millward Brown is kind of the industry gold standard for advertising testing, and basically what this says is, I talked about awareness and persuasion before. So awareness on the x-axis, persuasion on the y-axis, and basically you want to be as far up and to the right as you can possibly be, and there is unbelievable correlation between these scores and changing your brand, and more importantly, changing your sales. And that's where we were. That relaunch ad was the single highest scoring ad in Millward Brown's database. Nobody'd ever produced an ad that scored better than that. And we're spending tens of millions of dollars showing consumers saying horrible things about the pizza we sell, and it was unbelievably compelling to consumers. There were those who thought we were insane when we were doing this. I'll tell you, the remarkable thing was, as this was happening, and we just get out there and launch it, and we thought this was going to be part of a story arc, right? We're going to go out, we're going to talk about these changes, and then we're going to move more aggressively to talking about this great pizza that we're now selling. We put this ad on air, and our sales were up double digit the first week. I mean, just immediate reaction from consumers. And I'll tell you that the pace of the reaction, the size of the reaction, caught us by surprise, caught our supply chain by surprise. They said, nice work, guys. Could you forecast a little better the next time? So the next real question around this is, where do you communicate? And here's what we figured out, and I think it's another important lesson. People trust each other. They don't trust big corporations. With all due respect to Congressman Dingell, and I know he would be aware of this also, they don't trust government, right? Generally, people don't trust big institutions, right? They trust each other. They trust friends and family. And so what does that mean? Well, in today's world, it means social media is what counts, because that's how people communicate. In the old days, Domino's Pizza could go out and we could spend $100 million a year to advertise to consumers, and we could tell them what the truth was, because basically they weren't armed, right? So we could go out and we could bombard them with a message and say, this is who we are, And they had no way to respond to that if they didn't agree with what we were saying. Well, now they do. You know, there's the old cliche about, you know, don't pick a fight with people who buy ink by the barrel. Well, the fact is, everybody has access to ink by the barrel now. And they don't believe what I say, what we say about our own brand. They believe what their friends and family say about that brand. So to us, social media drives everything. Consumers own the brand. We don't own the brand. What they say about the brand is the truth about the brand. And we've got to listen to that, and we've got to respond to that, and we've got to change the truth if they don't like something. We've got to change what we're actually giving to them, and then mass media, marketing, advertising can hasten the change of attitudes about the brand. But it starts there. It starts with them and what they think about it. And immediately, you know, within the first couple of weeks, articles started popping up everywhere. It was on television. It was unbelievable. I mean, really unlike anything I've ever seen. And people started talking about doing a Domino's. And doing a Domino's basically was, look, fess up, own it. If something isn't going well, admit that you've got the issue, do something about it, and people will react to it. And it came out everywhere. I will tell you that at the end of the day, you know, our communications team, who's here today, fueling it, we got more earned media than we did bought media, you know, around this change. It was fun. Everybody had fun making fun of Domino's, coming out and talking about this. And to our mind, that was great. It was driving the message. There is a change going on at Domino's, and drove really remarkable results. So then we started continuing. We said, you know what, we're on to something here. You know, and I could tell you we had this all figured out from the start. And I will tell you the real answer is we learned a lot through this process. And so we started saying, you know, there's something here. There's something pretty magical here about kind of talking about ourselves very honestly and openly. And so kind of one of the next steps in this was we ran a campaign where we said, you know what, we want your feedback. You can go on Twitter, you can go on Facebook, tell us about your experience. And we want to be open and transparent about it. And so with only editing for profanity, we are going to rent an electronic billboard in Times Square, and we're going to run your feedback in Times Square, you know, basically real time. Same day, we're going to post it up there. Whatever you say about Domino's Pizza is going to be put up there in Times Square. This was unbelievably powerful with consumers. Now, I'll tell you, the interesting thing is, so people reacted to this, and they said, we get it, and that's incredible. Putting it in Times Square, really the answer is, doesn't matter. I know there are millions of people who go through there every day, but the fact is not that many of them stop and look at all the billboards. What matters is it's already out there. It's on social media. That's where people are reading it. We were just fundamentally acknowledging that, saying, look, we accept that you control our brands. We're going to be open and honest about it, and if you got a problem with our brand, we're going to own it, you know, and we're going to figure out a way to try to do better. So we boomed. We had huge growth in Facebook and Twitter. I think we're now up to there it is, 7.8 million fans. We'll be at 10 million fans soon on Facebook. I mean, just our social media part of the business just took off as people were connecting with the brand. And at the same time, we made a big shift to investing in technology. So one of the facts that I love about this business that usually surprises folks is Domino's Pizza, just down the road here, is the third largest e-commerce company in the US by transaction counts after Amazon and Apple. We do over 1 million transactions a week online in the US and an equal number outside of the US. So we're doing almost 2.5 billion or 2.5 million transactions a week globally at Domino's Pizza. So we are huge in e-commerce now. We have about 600 team members up the road here at the farms. Largest group by far are in technology. About 200 of the folks there are working in technology, largely around kind of our e-commerce platforms. Over a third of our business now comes in digitally. So big shift there. So we had another interesting idea around advertising, which was show us your pizza. So we said, you know what, we want to be open and honest and transparent, and one of the other tensions that we identified was, you know, people telling us that, you know, the pizza I get at home doesn't look like the pizza that I see on television. And so we came up with an idea. You know what? No more photography tricks. We're just going to make a pizza, take a picture of it, and use that. And in fact, we'd like you to do the same. Take pictures of the pizza that arrives at your home, post it on our site. We got, I think, over 30,000 photos were posted on the Domino's website. And we said, you know what, we'll even use some of those that you actually take in our advertising going forward. So the interesting opportunity was, and I give our marketing department just huge credit around this. So a couple of days in, we're getting 97, 98% of these pizzas look terrific, you know, and they're great pizzas. But you know what? 2 or 3% were taking it as an opportunity to basically tell us where we'd messed up. And they were posting pictures of pizzas that didn't look good, that we wouldn't have been proud to serve. And we realized, you know what, there's an idea in here. There's an opportunity in here because they've come up with a new way of communicating. Well, we came up with the way they realized there was a different use than kind of what we were thinking about when we did it. And so we start getting all these pictures in, some of them very creative. But we realized, you know what, they've found another avenue for communicating with us, and we've got an opportunity to take responsibility. This is not acceptable. Bryce in Minnesota, you shouldn't have to get this from Domino's. We're better than this.
When we launched showusyourpizza.com, we asked our customers to be the photographers, and we've been thrilled by the results.
But this, it really gets me upset. I'm Patrick Doyle, the CEO of this company. We're not going to fail. We aren't going to deliver pizzas like this. I guarantee it.
So we're extending our $5.99 inspired pizza deal because we want to see even more of your pizza shots.
We're still listening. We're going to learn. We're going to get better. So that was our second highest scoring ad. And, you know, we've now shown our product in a photo. This one was really popular with the franchisees, let me tell you. We're now once again spending tens of millions of dollars, and we're showing them an ugly pizza, right? A pizza that we've messed up on. Second highest scoring ad, second highest increase in sales from this whole campaign. Consumer reaction to it was powerful. It's like, you know what? These guys own it. They accept when they messed up. They're going to do something about it. Very powerful. And again, drove sales, immediately when we launched it. So how did we do? So over 24 months, this has actually continued, but over the first 2 years, our same-store sales in the U.S. were up 13.4%. The first year, we were up 9.9%, which we think for a major restaurant company is actually the fastest that we can find on record. If I had known that we were about 17 pizzas short of 10% on New Year's Eve, I would have bought some myself. Around January 3rd, as we're doing the last of the counting, I'm like, really, guys, 9.9? Really? 9.9? And it was 9.9, and then followed it with an up year again. Franchise profits, I mean, we're a system, over 90% of our stores in the U.S. are owned by franchisees. Their profits at the store level were up over 40% over the course of 2 years. Our stock price doubled 2 years in a row, and I think with a dividend last year, we were up another 37 or 38%. And customers now give us credit for being the best in taste. So lessons learned. The first kind of goes back to the idea of tensions. Big problems equal big opportunities. You know, if there is something that is going wrong in your business, you've actually got a really big opportunity. Because if you go out and you own it and you fess up, there is a magical opportunity to connect with your customers. Second thing is break through the clutter, which we did by owning up. And you know, we have this little parlor game we play around the office, and that's to basically try to come up with another brand that has done something like this. And we still haven't come up with one. You know, there was an ad for VW back in the 60s that said lemon underneath it. And, but it got your attention, but what it actually said was, you know, our German engineers, you think this is a perfect car, we actually don't. There's a little flaw there that you probably didn't even notice. It was kind of getting there, and that was 50 years ago. And frankly, we're surprised that some others, given our results, haven't jumped on and gone out and said, all right, we're gonna own our problems as well. I would argue GM did it a little bit a couple of years ago with some of their ads as they were starting to come back, and they kind of owned some of the issues. Be honest and transparent and consistent. The good news about this is you really have to be. Go back to the idea of social media and the power of social media. Customers know the truth about your product. They know the truth about your brands. You can either accept that or you can fight it. But if you fight it, you're going to lose, right? The customer's view of your brand is what carries the day. Social media matters, as I've said, and it moves very, very fast. You've got to be responding to it on the spot. One of the things that our communications team does now is we've got folks kind of led by Phil. This is Phil from Domino's. If we view that if you post something about a bad experience on Facebook or on Twitter, that's the same as if you called us with a complaint and you get a response. It says, you know, hi, this is Phil from Domino's. I'm terribly sorry you had a bad experience with us tonight. You know, DM me and we'll take care of this. And, you know, what it does is it puts out fires before they really get going in social media, and it shows we care, right? We used to respond to complaints kind of the same week. Our guy who runs training in the customer care area a few years ago said, we're the 30-minute guys, right? We should be responding to any complaint out there within 30 minutes. And we now do that for, you know, over 95% of complaints. They get a response from us inside of 30 minutes. Doing that on social media is incredibly powerful. And it often, I'm sure many of you have heard, and we absolutely believe it and see it every day, that your most loyal customer is not somebody who has had everything go perfect with your brand. Your most loyal customer is somebody who's had a problem and you fixed it. And so fortunately, we make lots of mistakes, and so we get lots of opportunity to build loyal customers. Recognize that you no longer own the brand, as I said. You know, the brand is owned by the consumer. That's where the truth of the brand is, not what your marketing department decides that they want people to believe the brand to be. You need a strategy. You want to move people there, but the truth of where that brand is in the minds of the consumer. And when you make changes, make them real, right? I mean, you know, there are a lot of great consumer products companies in this world that have made a great living over many decades by making these little tweaks along the way to the product and making a really big deal out of it. It doesn't work anymore. It absolutely doesn't work anymore. The consumers see right through it. All those little new and improved ideas that you see packaged goods companies doing, doesn't work. If you want to do something, you want to make a real impact, you want to grow your sales dramatically, you got to make a big change, and make a big change that's real, and that's what is going to resonate with the consumer. So that's the story. That's the story of a little pizza company down the road, which happily has been re-embraced pretty dramatically by customers. And so we're proud of what we got done. We're proud to be part of the community, and I was honored to share that with you today. And with that, thank you. With that, I'm happy to take any questions. Yeah. So the question was, how difficult was it to get your team and your management to move this direction? And the team here in Ann Arbor moved pretty quickly. And in fact, we'd been hearing it for years. We knew this was out there. I still remember when we decided to make the change. And I remember Russell Weiner, who's our chief marketing officer, came in. Making the change was easy. How we communicated it was a little bit more difficult. And I still remember when Russell came in and met with Dave Brandon, who was the CEO when we made the decision, and I was the president at the time. Came in and met with the two of us, and we both got knots in our stomach about the communication approach, but both got there. The interesting part of kind of around the persuasion on this, and where I think still, it's the place where I think the group that was most brave in going along with this were our franchisees. We're a company of small business owners. Right? I mean, we've got 1,000 franchisees in the U.S. that own, an average of just over 4 stores. Half of them own a single store. This is in the middle of the economic downturn. Their businesses are not doing well. They may have a spouse who has lost a job. Their home may be underwater. And these geniuses in Ann Arbor come out and say, you know what? We want to get rid of the pizza that you've built your business around. And by the way, this new pizza costs more. So your sales are already down, and we're going to get rid of the old one, and I'm going to increase your costs. And oh, by the way, roughly this is how we're going to communicate it. And I'm stunned to this day, that they went along with it. And so we went out. I went out over the course of a week with the team. We had 5 meetings in 5 different cities over the course of the week. So we had about 200 of them at a time in the room, and showed them the old pizza, showed them the new pizza, took them through all the research. And while we could still make the decision, at the end, we said, show of hands, who wants to stick with the old pizza, who wants to go to the new one? And I think we had 13 franchisees who said they wanted to stick with the old one. And to me, that's the most remarkable thing in the whole process, because, if this had gone poorly, so this launched and I was announced as the CEO basically the same week. If it didn't work, I might have had the shortest tenure of any CEO in the U.S., but I'd go get another job somewhere, right? Our franchisees, this is their business. They've invested in it. They're raising their families on it. And for them to have gone along with this, to me, is far braver than sitting in the office in Ann Arbor making the decision. Yes? They are. We did lots of taste tests. Both kind of qualitatively over the course of 2 years, and then quantitatively with every possible group of customers that we could come up with. The most important of which, of whom were our existing loyal customers. And because we needed permission from the people who had been doing business with us loyally, for years or decades, to mess with their product. And interestingly, they were very much on board also. So yeah, a lot of research Yes. Oh, sorry. That's okay. Yep. Yeah, given where we are, it's a really good question. It's interesting. We still do very well. Recruiting great folks into the system, including our franchisees. We employ over 100,000 people in the U.S. and we employ over 100,000 people outside of the U.S. We need a broad range of skill sets. Which goes everything from probably where we are struggling the most right now, which is hiring more technology folks. That's a tough hire right now, down to people who are working in the store, who basically we just need great attitude, and a desire to treat customers really well. And we teach, fundamental business skills to those folks. And one of the things that we're proudest of at Domino's is we really are kind of a little entrepreneurial incubator. Over 90% of our franchisees started in a store working as a driver for Domino's and worked their way up through. Kind of the common story is they were working as a driver while they were going to school, making a little bit of money, and they graduate or don't graduate, hopefully graduate, and one day they're trying to figure out what they're going to do with their life. They keep working in the store, and one day they kind of realize, I like this, and the franchisee asks them if they want to manage. They start running the store, and a year or two later, they call into Ann Arbor and say, I'd really like to own my own. And they can make enough money as a manager that, with getting a small business loan, they can buy their first store. And off they go. And we spend a lot on training here in Ann Arbor, but also out in the field, to teach them how to be successful entrepreneurs and how to run their business. But matching those skill sets is a big part of what we do. I mean, managing people and people development, talent development. There's kind of. Sometimes it feels like my side job, but really one of the big outside things I'm working on right now with Business Leaders for Michigan is working on higher education and higher education funding in the state of Michigan. And we've got a big mismatch right now, right? I mean, we've got to create more people with higher skills, higher levels of training than we are today. There are jobs out there that are going wanting for lack of people with the skill set that's needed, and it's a big opportunity. Yes?
Through your life experiences, what do you recommend to college students?
Good one. So, it's interesting. My advice falls into two categories. First of all, I think that anybody who works incredibly hard and incredibly diligently at whatever you are doing, you think that that's common and normal, and the answer is it really is not. People notice. People find people who are doing great work at whatever it is that they are doing, right? So that's number one, is just put a lot of effort into everything you're doing, whatever it is you're choosing to do, because the fact is, you probably know the statistics, you're probably going to change careers 5 times in your lifetime. So it's all about, number one, just doing what you're doing incredibly well. People will notice, opportunities will come up. The second thing is build and learn transferable skills. Selling counts in whatever you are doing. Doesn't matter what you were doing, the ability to persuade people matters. Financial skills, accounting skills, the ability to understand a P&L matters no matter what you're doing. And so these are very transferable skills. And then my last, more specific advice is I always tell folks, find something that's broken and fix it. And what I mean by that is, I've worked in 4 different companies, but I've now spent over half my career at Domino's. And people tend to kind of flock towards the area of a business that's doing very well. I want to be in that area because it's the hot area and that's what's doing well, and I want to be a part of that. And my view is that makes it really difficult to differentiate yourself. Right? My view is find that little nasty area over in the corner that nobody wants to deal with and say, can I have that? I know that's been a problem for a long time, and I'd like to be the person who fixes that. And that's how you really set yourself apart, is being that person who goes in and takes on that project that nobody else wants. And people notice that. That's it. That's all I got.
Great advice. It's about 5 minutes left. I think we can do one more question.
Yeah, sorry. All I can see are lights.
You obviously went out on a limb by extending a money-back guarantee statement, and I'm sure that provides some incentive to your franchisees to raise the quality level internally.
Yeah, it does. Oh, you noticed.
How much of that, if any, is assumed by corporate, and how does that guarantee impact the franchisees?
Yeah, so none of it was assumed by corporate. And the answer is the franchisee controls that. And so we went out, and that was another part of the communication. And oh, by the way, it costs more, and we're going to put a guarantee on it. Now the fact is, we've had a guarantee forever. We just had never spoken about it. And that's ultimately how we got the franchisees to be comfortable. And basically the storyline was, look, what do you want to do? If at the end of making a pizza delivery and the customer isn't happy, the alternative is to say tough, that doesn't work. You've got to take care of the customer. And so all we're saying with this guarantee is what should be a common sense business practice. We're just going to get credit for it because we're going to talk about it. And we know from the way you test advertising, we know it was a compelling part of the commercial, was telling them. And to this day, it says it has said on every box and continues to say on every box that if you're not completely satisfied, call us and we'll make it right. All right. Thank you very much. It's been a real pleasure.
Thank you again, Patrick, for all your words and your advice. And I'd like to thank everyone here for coming, and have a great day. See you at the next Economic Luncheon. Bye.